KDB.
Beats Planet.
Live also. I'm turning up my volume. Check, check, check. I'm hitting this button here. Check, check, check. Making sure me and Brother Jeff are on the screen. We are indeed. Check, check, check. What's happening, y'all? Everybody on my side. Everybody on Brother Jeff's side over there. I'm Voch Lombardi. He is Jeff Cavanaugh. Y'all should know who we are. This seems to be a popular little ditty that's been going on. So, yo, fam, first of all, in my pre-show chat box or whatever, my homie CJ, let me get his last name right, Bagby, he was kind of thinking of some names that we should name this thing, because we're going to do this often. Like, we should have a name for this thing. And a couple of them that stood out to me, this is nothing official, and I kind of want people in my chat and your chat to just kind of put what y'all would name this thing, right? He called us the JV Scout Team, which is like ah. Then he had another one. Okay, Naughty by Nuance. That's more so something that my side of pickup. But this one stood out so crazy. Jeff, Scoutcast is crazy. Jeff, Scoutcast is crazy. Come on, Jeff.
Can we? Okay,
Jeff.
I don't know the legalities of this. Could we play Spodioty Dopalicious in the intro, or would we get sued?
That's the best song. That's the best hip hop song of all time. But we wouldn't be able to make money from this shit. But on the podcast version, we can intro with Spodioty Dopalicious, Jeff. On the podcast
it's
version.
Like we're not on screen yet, and we have some sort of cool setup shit that is like sitting there, and then you just start hearing and we would come in when it's coming back down. Yeah.
We have to consider Scoutcast. Appreciate you, CJ Bagby. But we here with another week of draft talk. It's gonna be like Cowboy heavy for the next couple of weeks or so, because it seems like we want to be playing in the postseason and all that. But once we get into the off season, there's gonna be a whole new audience here, all 32 teams or so. So enjoy this current Cowboy talk while we at it. You know what I mean?
Hold on. This is white people humor, but it's still funny to me.
I like white people. James
said, 2 guys, 1 stream.
Hey, maybe it should be Scoutcast, and then that'll be the tagline, because I like that too. I like that shit too.
Oh, I got a cramp. Oh, damn.
What the hell wrong with you?
I got a cramp in an internal organ somewhere.
But look, this is the bad part, Jeff. Scoutcast is like very black, but 2 guys, 1 stream is very white. So if we can bring the coaches together, Jeff Cavanaugh, we can figure this thing out and we can make it all work, man. But if this is y'all's first time listening, I promise we don't normally catch cramps and talk about this much culture.
I think it's a kidney or a lung.
You don't catch cramps in your lungs or your kidney because those don't have muscles. Do kidneys have muscles?
What if you drink too much like energy drink? Which internal organ blows up? Like I think I might be catching a cramp in that organ.
That's your heart. So that means you've been taking Viagra and your shit about to explode. You too young to be taking Viagra, Jeff.
It's not my heart.
You got high blood pressure?
Look, I would not take Viagra. I would take the black rhinos from the gas station. But
well, that should have killed you, Jeff. But
I'm gonna bounce back. I'm back. I'm good. You see how? Hey, Voch. You know the worst part?
What's that?
I made T-shirts.
Okay.
And then they started winning.
Oh, that shit over with, Jeff. Look, right brick on my brick was gonna be incredible for like the long run of it. That shit was gonna be top tier, fam. But it's over now. It's over, and we're gonna get into into all that talk, of course, because I've pulled the questions and y'all basically asked what I think y'all gonna ask. But is Captain Trade Down dead, my guy? Let me see who asked me that question. Enemy Michael, is Captain Trade Down still alive? Answer that for me.
Captain Trade Down is at least crippled. He's in a bad way right now, and well, Team Tank. We threw both the tracks off. I found out that's what the little tread things are called. They're called tracks. Okay. So Team Tank threw off both tracks. That's dead. And Captain Trade Down, has halfway turned in his spurs, but only halfway. Because if they lost this game, yes. I don't know. You can end up like 7th or 8th. I can trade down from 7th or 8th.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. And I kind of like how we got like different analogies for it, because my analogy is somebody called the feds and the trap house got raided. Somebody snitched and told on us. So the 3rd overall brick is in Miami, which is crazy. That they just go get the win and try to be in the playoffs and they get the 3rd pick. But we're going to talk about that a little bit later. It really sucks to be Houston. But my bad, Captain Trade Down. You are no longer alive, sir. So what the hell do we do? We can take this 2 different ways. Say we do make the playoffs. The 19th overall pick ain't nothing like the 3rd overall pick. So, what do we do with the 19th, Jeff?
Okay, do you want it from the positive or the Oklahoma's already up 14-0? Did Trask really already throw 2 picks? Somebody said that in my chat.
Trask ain't getting drafted if that's the case, but we don't know.
Trask is getting drafted.
This is the internet. People might be trolling. Let me go on Google and confirm that. But what the hell? But yeah, 19th overall.
I mean, it is 14-0, and they're kicking a field goal now to make it 17-0, and they're only 7 minutes into the game, so that would make sense. Yeah, one was a pick 6 according to the chat. Okay,
Let me look this shit up.
Okay, so if they pick 19th, if they pick 19th, I think here's the good news.
2 interceptions. Yes, go ahead.
Is it's almost relieving in some, like that's around where I would want to pick anyway in this draft. Right. I just wanted to do it while having extra picks. That's how I got there. Yeah. Because if we're talking about picking at 3 or 4 and you start throwing out names, I'd be like, God, at 3 or 4? Yeah. And you get to 19 and you can almost let the other teams do the work for you. Because now it's just like, okay, if somebody's going to pick, Michigan defensive end Kwity Paye at 7, and I get Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia at 19, I don't know who got the better player.
Right.
We'll see. So they're just going to pay a lot more money and have used a higher pick on it. I mean, I want to pick higher in all the other rounds, but in the first round, I kind of want to pick anywhere from the Farley range, Caleb Farley, which I don't know where that is, 8 to 10,
sure,
down to where you could pick anyone from Nick Bolton, Joseph Osai, J.C. Horn. Like I think it kind of works itself out at 19, whereas in the top 5, a lot of the names you would say, you'd be forcing them, and you don't want to force a pick in the top 5. Right. So I don't hate if they pick 19th. I just hate that we didn't get more out of it and, have some extras.
The one thing that's really going to suck about not being able to trade down or not having the brick is I wanted to draft twice in the 40s. You know what I mean? Or like relatively between 38 to 55 or whatever, right? Losing out on that is going to be what sucks, because not only do you get the 5th overall pick, but you get 37 and whatever,
Well, let me get, just to exactly what you're saying. I'm going to show you. I'm going to tell you something real quick. Okay. Because, you think it's too early for mock drafts, but I know the people will click on them. So
everybody go watch Jeff, because he loves to put mocks up, but I'm putting up film so y'all can get different shit from us. Go ahead, Jeff.
So I just, the film, I'll do it again later, but my God, you know how it is. You got to be careful on the stuff, but, so I was doing a bunch of mock drafts, and, I let the people on the YouTube help me pick the first couple. And then the third one, I said, all right, everybody get the hell out of my way. I'm trading down, and we're going to see what happens. Right. And I traded down from 11. And I took Azeez Ojulari, the edge out of Georgia, at 20. Then I came back up to 30 for Nick Bolton. Then I took Elijah Molden, Ardarius Washington, and a defensive tackle. Who cares? But that's what you're saying, except you're saying 40s, but that was 20 and 30.
Right.
The players that I think we want is, I want 3 of the guys that are going between 20 and 40, 20 and 50. I want 3 of those. Right. I want 4 of the guys in the top 60 or 70, right, not one guy that's in the top 11.
Right. And my whole thing, and here's another comment from my man's Brandon over there at Frankly Football. Shouts out to him. He says, at 19 to 24, is it a better idea to trade down from that? See, and this is my thing, because I'm not always, into trading, because I don't think that it's very practical. In that range, nobody trades down. Other teams go get that pick. You know what I'm saying? That's different. To where if I'm at 3 and I have a quarterback, I can say, hey, who wants the quarterback on the board right now? You would get a lot more phone calls. Us sitting at 19, we're basically saying, hey, y'all, I don't want to pick in this spot that nobody wants to pick at. Who wants to give me picks so y'all can pick at this spot that y'all don't want to pick at? You see what I'm saying? So if we trade away from 19, it wouldn't be our decision. It'll be somebody else.
I think in some scenarios, like if you could find a team that who doesn't have a 1 this year, there's 2 teams, right? Houston and I forget. But like if somebody didn't have a 1 and there's an offensive player like a tackle or a receiver that they really like, maybe. But for the most part, yeah, I think you're right. Once you get to a certain point and it's not about quarterbacks anymore, you're not talking about your brick is no longer the brick you wanted the brick to be.
Fair enough. The Chargers did it last year. They came up and got my linebacker guy. I forget names.
Notre Dame guy?
I forget names with old classes because I'm on new classes. But he's a kid from Oklahoma. Murray?
Kenneth Murray.
Kenneth Murray. Yeah, the Chargers traded up into the late first to get him. They had an early first, but that's kind of like a situation you would be working with. But that's a lot less sexy, and your phone is ringing a lot less than if, whatever. So this is a question that Cowboy fans kind of been hitting me upside the head with. We didn't get a chance to talk about this last week because we were on vacation, because the key word vacation is vacate, and we don't do work when we vacate. Kyle Pitts is really good, fam, and it's going to turn into an extended Kyle Pitts conversation. If Kyle Pitts is the best player on your board, I'm assuming that we push Dalton Schultz off the bridge or Blake Jarwin off the bridge. I don't know. But if he's the best player on your board, you got to take him. But what do you do with him? Like, give me – is he a receiver to you? If that's the case, why don't we just get a 6th-round receiver and turn that dude into a tight end? Give me your take on Kyle Pitts related to the Cowboys.
So I went to look at his numbers because I kind of consider him a wide receiver, kind of. He's lined up like – a total of 170 times at either outside or the slot, and over 300 at tight end. Mm-hmm. And I think we both know he's not a good blocking tight end. Right. But he's not totally useless. Like, he'll get in the way and kind of try if the plays come in his direction. Sure. And receiving is way more important than how they block anyway. So, I think it's tempting just because it is about the best player, and you would have to, because then I would have to say, okay, from now on, it's not the best player anymore because I got Kyle Pitts. Now I got Kyle Pitts. Now let's talk about where we're going to get our corners and our D tackles and whatever else we need. Yeah. But yeah, I think if you feel better and safer about him than the other picks you would make, and you're picking at say 9 or 11 or 13 or whatever, it's weird because it's rare that tight ends go that high, and the ones that do don't always work out. But if you think you're getting a Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, something in between that, that's worth the 11th overall pick. If that's what you think you're getting.
This is my problem. Most of those tight ends are 2nd and 3rd round guys.
Mm-hmm.
Darren Waller was a wide receiver coming out of Georgia Tech. I don't even know how that worked because they just ran a lot of option over there.
Well,
but
Calvin Johnson came out of there too.
I think they were a lot different back in 2003 whenever
I
the hell
think
that was.
Still ran that.
I gotta do research, but if that's the case though, right? Do you want to spend a top 15, then the best player, right? The best player, a top 15 pick at a position that you already got guys that you got faith in, a position where the best guys are found on day 2 and day 3. Even Gronk was a day 2 guy, and then nobody values tight end in that way. Do you do it? And then if you draft him and say, oh, I'm just going to put him at receiver, do you have faith that you can let Michael Gallup walk, put that dude at flanker or X or whatever you want to do, and just, you know what I'm saying? Like what do you do? It sucks.
No, I would play him at tight end, and the answer to every draft question is tell me who else is on the board, right? That's the answer to every draft question. But two teams value tight end right now, and it's the Chiefs and the 49ers because their players are worth valuing.
It worked out, yeah.
And so it's just a matter of how good do you think he is. Even the linebackers, the same thing, right? Where it's like most of the great linebackers aren't necessarily picked in the top 10 or 20 or even the first round. But I don't want to hold the fact that people were wrong against the prospect, that people didn't realize how good George Kittle or Travis Kelce was going to be. Like, that's no reason not to find the next one earlier.
Right.
So like I could totally take Kyle Pitts and make my roster work around it if he's my best player. I'll do it. I could totally do it.
Also, there's something else we got to think about. If you're like some miscellaneous team, like if you're the Jets and you're thinking about Kyle Pitts or whatever, I mean, cool, that's the Jets thinking about Kyle Pitts. But if we're talking about Dallas, right, where does Kyle Pitts get targets amongst Coop, Lamb, Gallup, and your 2 tight ends that seem to be adequate pass catchers, Tony and Zeke? Like, do you want to spend a 12th overall pick on a guy that's only going to get 40 catches a year?
You throw about 600 passes a year, give or take? Am I way off? Is that about right?
Because I tell you what, Dak was going to throw for 7,000 yards this year. I don't know, fam. So I don't know. Might be enough.
So you throw 650 times a year.
Sure.
Let's just say in theory I go 120, 100. That's 340. That's for 3 receivers. And then a tight end. And right, it worked. I think it I think it works. It's a good question. Like, is there a point where I have too many weapons?
Sure.
And my answer is, please, Lord, let me see that day. That's something I'd love to complain about that. Damn it. CD had 9 catches and Pitts only got 3. What a terrible day at the office. How many did we score?
I think we there, though. The only problem is 4 got hurt and Terrence Steele is terrible, right? I think that was gonna be our thing this year. That was gonna be the offense. Like, we gonna get 3,000 yards. We almost got 3,000 yard receivers now. Kind of, sort of. Gallup probably not gonna make it. But
oh yeah, they would have, no doubt. They would have.
Or 4 if you include Schultz or whatever, right? So that would have been the offense this year. And I mean, I don't want to make this 2-2-2 Cowboys heavy, but I think to a certain point, yes, you have to trust your board, but I think when you're building the board, you can't, in good conscience, put Kyle Pitts over a really good Kyle Pitts over a You can't do it, Jeff. You can't do that shit.
Yes, you can, Voch. Yeah. It's the 18th rule of scouting that Brian Broaddus taught me. We do not window dress our board. We do not pretend a guy is better than another guy because we want him to be. We do not do that, Voch. We put them where they go, and then we draft.
As irresponsible as that is to go overkill on that offense like that, knowing how terrible your defense is, and I got a couple questions about the defense though, Jeff. It just doesn't seem practical to me, man. It's like it's just like we get the first overall pick. We got Dak. I mean, we're gonna get Trevor Lawrence too. You take Trevor Lawrence. You trade Dak. If you got the best prospect available, you take him. Jeff, you sick. I'm moving on. I kind of do I go Jets or do I go? Let's go one last Cowboy question, then we'll go regular draft for the rest of the show. I had this theory, not even a theory, but just this thing I was thinking about that I was going to ask you last week, but we was on vacation. Can this Cowboy team, right, be good with a terrible defense, but we get 2 to 3 turnovers a game? Like, can we live with that? Because I think if we're in a situation where we're full blown on offense, right, and we're just scoring, right, the other team ain't gonna run the ball as much. We're gonna be terrible. We're gonna be terrible versus the run regardless. But if we put them in situations where they got to throw the ball, and we end up giving up 300 yards like we did versus Jalen Hurts, but we get turnovers and we get the pass rush because Randy Gregory is the best defensive end in the league. Like, can we survive with a 25th ranked defense and win the Super Bowl next year?
No, I think you can. I think you can win regular season games, but I think when you're forced to run a gauntlet in the postseason, you're going to find teams like New Orleans this year. They're top 10 in everything, offense and defense, points per game, yards per game, both ways. So my guess is no. I mean, the real answer is anything could happen in football because you're just talking about winning 3 football games, right? So you could. But I think it would be a hard thing to bet on. Teams with really bad defenses, it is super hard to win the Super Bowl unless you think Dak is Mahomes. And I love Dak, but I don't think he's Mahomes. So I think you need – well, now I guess that's ignoring one thing you said. If you told me you had the 23rd ranked defense in the league, but you're in the top 5 and forcing turnovers, then yeah, I think you can.
Right.
Yeah. If you can get that many extra possessions – But that's such a hard thing to count on. It's so fluky. It goes up and down, except for the Cowboys, who are always bad at it until the last 3 weeks. So I think it would be tough. I think it would be tough.
Dak ain't Mahomes, but I do think Dak is like the 3rd best quarterback in the league right now. I can't prove it, but that's just where we at right now.
I say he's top 6, so I mean it's not like we're far off.
I mean, I'm just way too much of a homer, I guess, and I just can't really prove it. But if Dak comes back and throw for 7,000 yards next year, it's all good. What else was I gonna ask you about? Yes, okay, cool. One last Cowboy thing. If Jeff had the Illuminati magic wand, right? Do we lose the game on purpose and get the 10th overall pick, or do we go play Tampa Bay next week? If it's up to you.
Go play Tampa Bay.
Jeff, you sick. Jeff, you sick.
We're here, Voch.
You're sick.
We're here.
You're sick.
We were tanking when we didn't think we could get here. We're here now.
Because I can even make the argument that you got a better chance of getting one of them bricks back if you have the 10th overall pick. If you look at Tankathon, there's a lot of teams up there that don't need quarterback, but they need other shit that's up there, like wide receiver, offensive line. I think it's a situation where somebody could trade up and get the North Dakota State kid, Trey Lance. I think we still got a shot. Plus, if we don't end up with the brick trading back from 10, I still think we can get somebody that I feel really good about at 10 that we probably would have drafted at 4 if we couldn't get a trade back partner. Don't you feel much better about Patrick Surtain at 10 than you do at 5? Don't you?
I do. Man, I thought I was the biggest proponent of tanking in the world, but it turns out I'm second.
Oh, Jeff,
like they're here, Voch.
Jeff, you sick.
You're here.
You sick.
It's not, at 3-9 you tank because it's over. But now, for some stupid reason, it's not over.
You know something else?
you go try.
You know something else I don't want, Jeff? I don't want for Andy Dalton to mess around and win a playoff game. And then we get that crowd, that Andy Dalton versus Dak Prescott crowd. I don't want that to come back neither. I just want us to just lose this game.
I know, but we can ignore that crowd. We don't have to worry about that crowd. That crowd is crazy people. You never get worse at quarterback on purpose. I know Colin Cowherd, because somebody retweeted that garbage onto my timeline, was like, Dak's not twice as good as Dalton, so you should pay Dalton much less. And I'm like, nobody gets worse at quarterback on purpose. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So we just don't worry about that. And I guess not part of me, the worst thing that could happen is you win the game and then Washington wins. And so you go 7-9 and you drop some more spots and you don't get to go to the postseason. Look, if you get to go to the playoffs, you get to go to the playoffs. Go try to go to the playoffs. You're here.
But I mean, whatever, Jeff. You just punking out on me, Jeff.
You're here. You're here. It's why they play. Go try your best.
Jeff, you sick, man. You sick.
I know they can't win the Super Bowl, but the can't actually means like a 1% chance. I mean, go take your 1% and try your best. I know you're not going to make it and you'd be better off losing, but it's what they play for. Go try.
I hate these optimistic ass.
I don't sound excited about it, do I?
No,
I'm sad about it.
Like, listen to your voice. Look at your face. Look at your face.
I'm sad about it.
You don't want to play Tampa Bay.
Go try. I hate Tom Brady. If you told me we can beat Tom Brady, it's worth it to me.
That's the bad part, Jeff. I think we can beat Tom Brady. My problem is I don't think we can beat Aaron Rodgers the week after that. So now we just drafting at 21 for nothing. For nothing.
I know.
Anyway.
Look, you're right, but the little tiny bit of a competitor still inside me, the little tiny bit is like, no, you have to go try.
I have a question that's kind of quasi-interesting, not really getting into it full-blown, but do you remember what you thought about Dwayne Haskins coming out of Ohio State?
Yes. I had questions about the offense they ran because it was so much just two crossers, dump it off. Yeah. So I think I had him as like a second rounder.
Sure.
So like I liked his arm. I thought he could be a quality starter in the league, and I was probably wrong. But I didn't like their offense, and that threw me off about him. But I liked his production. I liked his arm, and I was wrong.
I was on the Twitter machine, and somebody asked me what did I think about Haskins, like in a nutshell, and I feel like they asked me in a nutshell, and I was like, he wasn't impressive physically. He cool. And they threw a bunch of crossing routes that I had zero faith in, right? And they was like, "Oh, that's a lazy take." That's what it is. Like, do you want me to say the extra part about how he couldn't make throws outside the numbers, or how he just generally wasn't athletic? And something else too. Now that we have hindsight, why didn't you throw to Terry a little more? I think that probably says a little more about him too. I just think, looking at Haskins getting pushed out the club, I think it was interesting from Ron Rivera that he was like, yo, fam, I would have rather play this dude that I just found at Home Depot that I ain't even never even seen play football before. I would rather play this dude before I go another day with Ron. And I thought it was interesting because they didn't draft quarterback last year, and they probably should have. I mean, shots out of Chase, but they probably should have drafted like Herbert or something. But like that wasn't Ron's guy, and Ron knew from day one that he was trash, and he put the Kyle Allen kid in there. So I just thought that was an interesting little thing. You know? I
mean, they weren't trying to let him play, and I think sometimes this happens. I think the same thing happened to Paxton Lynch, who I wasn't a fan of anyway because he couldn't throw the ball well. But sometimes, and we don't know this just from watching tape, this is why teams have scouts who do all this digging and yet they still screw it up.
Sure.
Is some guys just, the NFL is a grown man sport. And if you don't have grown man habits and work ethic and all that, Johnny, you ain't gonna make it. Paxton Lynch, you ain't gonna make it. Dwayne Haskins. And I'm just using the context clues of basically everybody reporting on him being released and even his own statement. They're all hinting to the same thing. He didn't work hard enough. Like, he didn't know what he was really coming into and just thought that it was going to be easy, and it's not. Yeah. And so eventually your coach is going to look at you and be like, I got nothing invested in this dude. I didn't pick him. I don't want this dude around. Bye.
Fair enough. I'm going to give you a list of players, Jeff, and I want you to put them in order, okay? This is from Darius Woods. He's the first one. Somebody else did the other one. Ardarius Washington, because he's going to the league. Hamza Naziruddin, and Tyree Gillespie. I watched film on Tyree Gillespie, by the way. We got to talk. But how would you rank those gentlemen?
No career picks, but he's pretty good.
It's fine. Let him fly. Go ahead, Jeff. Do that, do that first.
I will go, man. These are the things I do to myself. I will take the 5'9" guy first. I will take Ardarius Washington. And the disclaimer, I've not seen his 2020 tape, but on 2019, he's the best safety in the country that I saw. I'll go Washington, Naziruddin, and this is TCU, Florida State, and Missouri. Gillespie, I'll go third. But I mean, I'd be happy if you told me I could have any of them in the third round. I'm doing cartwheels. If you told me I took them in the middle or late second, I'd be like, okay.
Gillespie is a dog.
He is.
He's a dog.
The first 5 plays of the Bama game is the best safety tape out.
I watched the Alabama film. And listen, so I'm watching the Alabama film, right? And if y'all want to see, like, my live reaction to this is over on my Patreon, patreon.com/vochlombardiyt, right? I'm watching the film. And the first play, he's from depth, Jeff. He's deep. And he beats everybody downhill and smacks Najee Harris in the mouth. The first play from scrimmage, Jeff, I say, damn, who is this kid? Second play from depth. Now, they say, all right, we're going to put Najee Harris in B-gap now. From depth, he ends up in B-gap, and he smacks Najee Harris in the mouth. Bam.
I'll do play 3 because I think I remember.
Do it.
From depth.
Yes.
Devontae Smith runs a slant, and Tyree Gillespie separates man from ball.
And he smacks the shit out of it. And I'm like, fam, like, he doesn't have the total package or whatever. Like, and it's interesting because he's a free safety. Probably going to be better at strong. Probably. But I like him at free. He's more of a half-fieldy, rangy guy. I wouldn't make him a single high rangy dude or whatever. He even had like a play where he was playing the ball I forgot the play, but he played the ball really well in one of those first 5 minutes of the sequence or whatever. I was like, okay, he's solid in coverage. But everybody talk about, I want a dog on defense. There's your dog. He comes down and he hits people bigger than him. Now, if I could put this in context of my team, this ain't just a Cowboy show. This is draft. How would I make this work with him and Donovan Wilson? Just put them dudes like in like cover 2 or something. Let both of them cover a half and let both of them come down and smack the hell out of people and just have the most physical safeties in the league. Shouts out to Mike Petty. Mike Petty, I would love to know what you and Pete do. Like when me and Jeff go live, how do you decide if you're going to watch my shit or if you're going to watch Jeff's shit? I would love to know that answer for you, but go ahead, Jeff.
I think they're on 2 devices, but shout out to Mike Petropatty and his question. And unfortunately, Mike, I don't know the answer to your question because it's December and I haven't watched them all. But Paulson, Adebo, Kerry Vincent, Robert Rochelle, where would you take them and who would you like first on down? I hate to let the people down, but it is December and I love you. And we're 100% going to get to all these guys and we're going to get them knocked out and we're going to talk about them. And you'll be the first person I tell about how I would rank those guys. But I don't know yet.
Yeah, too soon. We will definitely have those names by April, but not today. But Jeff, like I was so refreshed by Tyree Gillespie, dog. And I was like, you know what? It must just be he's hyped up and he's playing the Alabama kids like this. He's just gonna smack the shit out of them. So I think I went to go watch like Florida or something, and he's smacking the Florida kids. And then I watched another game and he's smacking them kids too, man. So I'm a fan of Gillespie. I think you have it right. I think Washington's a little better. I think Nazir Ladin's a little better. We're gonna watch 2020 tape on Washington, just kind of clean that report up. But Tyreek Gillespie, man, I'm a fan of his. I'm a fan.
I am too. I was surprised because I look, you look him up to get his height and weight and everything. You see the stats, and I'm like, all right, no career picks. This should be fun.
Right.
And then the first game I watched was Bama, and I was like, shit, this dude can play.
He can play.
You can take your whatever stats you're looking for. This dude can play.
And it sucks because it feels like, and it's partially because it's like early or whatever, but there's this feel you can just get on the draft social medias or whatever. But it feels like guys like Javon Holland are getting more clout than him, or guys like Paris Ford are getting more clout than him. When to be fair, I like Gillespie better than a lot of the names that people are naming at safety.
I do too. I like him better than Andre Sisco. I like him better than Javon Holland. So it's gonna be a big old group of safeties, I think, that are gonna go somewhere from like the middle second through the middle fourth, and it'll be hard to predict what order they go in. But I'll know what order I like them in.
Yeah, we will cross that road whenever we get there, indubitably. Brother Jeff, I got another question for you.
Yes, sir.
Rank these players, okay?
Oh crap!
Yeah, I know.
Have I seen them?
Yeah, probably. You probably seen 3 out of 4 of them. But you've seen. Yeah, well, sure. This is from the homie Nick Gashler. He tunes into my show. He's a 15-year-old draft whiz. He was a 15-year-old draft whiz, but he's 17 now, so he loses. Some of that kid luster, that little bow wow luster.
Yeah.
So,
Once you can drive, you're not a protege anymore.
You grown now, fam. So you miss your window player. But he was like, rank Joseph Osai, Kwity Paye, Jalen Phillips, and Greg Rousseau. And I think he's asking you this because he's trying to get a feel of the Greg Rousseau hype. And I will hate on Greg Rousseau every single week. But Greg Rousseau, like if I've watched 12 edge guys now, Greg Rousseau is currently edge number 12. And I'm sure if I watch 13, he'll be 13. But go ahead.
He's last for me too. And all the rest of those guys, Phillips will be third. I'll have Phillips third. And I think I'll have Paye ahead of Osai. So I think it'll be Kwity Paye, Joseph Osai. But I have those guys pretty close. Like I have my cheater grade on both of them where I make a little board and I have my first round, second, third, fourth, and they're in the 1-2 range where like you get into the teens or the early 20s. And I'm like, yeah, that's where I picked them. So I would go Paye, then Osai, then Jalen Phillips, and then Rousseau. But like Phillips would be at the top of the second. Paye and Osai would be in the middle late 1, and Rousseau would be in 3 or 4.
Then I'm assuming that's because you look at Joseph Osai as more of a raw, more athletic type of guy, but you look at Kwity. Kwity is more sound, I would say, technically, and more safe, I would guess, maybe.
I think Paye is more safe because he's 270 pounds and he's so stout and strong in the run game already. And he has the athletic gifts to be an awesome pass rusher. So I think there's a little more certainty there than with Osai, who I really like as a pass rusher, but it's his first year as a full-time edge. So I think he's a little less consistent, maybe a little less safe, and he might have a little less potential as a rusher.
Sure.
Because I think Paye, when they test him, is going to have the bend.
Yeah, fair enough. I asked this question.
You have Osai over Paye, don't you? That's why you're questioning me.
Actually, no. I have Paye over Osai because I'm floor guy. And Osai is a better athlete. Like, Osai is basically a motor dude. And he gives me vibes of my Temple guy. He's a Cardinal now. Hassan Reddick. He gives me those vibes. Like the super, I'm not going to stop running until the whistle is blown guy. But what I like about Kwity Paye is that his floor is up. He's so refined. Like, you can't get him on read options. Like, you can't misdirect his life away. Like, he's stout versus the run. Plus, if he runs the cone drill that we think he's going to run, then all bets are off. Take that dude early. You know what I mean?
And he is not going to run the cone drill that they say he runs in Bruce Feldman's freak article. There's no chance in hell he's running a 6.37 3-cone. But if he runs a 6.7, 6.8, let's go.
If he run that bitch, let's size it up. Jeff, I have a question. It's kind of football general. I asked it on Twitter the other day, and people seem like they didn't know what the hell I was talking about. But I think it's an interesting question to pose. I'm going to tie it into draft at some point. How do you deal with the notion of the half sack? If you need me to explain a little more, I will. But if you got an answer right now, go ahead.
The notion of the half sack.
I'll explain a little more. I
mean, if you're the one who cleaned it up, you shouldn't get as much credit as the guy who created the sack.
Now, see, I think opposite, right? I think they give half sacks away if two people met at the quarterback at the same time. Randy Gregory just got a half sack because him and Neville Gallimore hit Hurts at the same time. They both got the sack, but it's half for some reason, okay? In my mind, if you have a game to where you got one sack, a half sack, 1 sack, 2.5 sacks, 2.5 sacks. In my mind, that's messing up your sack number because it says you got 2.5 sacks this game. But what that means, you got to the quarterback 3 times. It's just that one time you and somebody else got there.
Oh, so you want full credit for both?
Full credit for both. Because this is where I'm at with it.
I mean, as long as you don't think that the scale has to be balanced in the stat books, because you're going to be able to sort like quarterbacks are sacked this many times, but there were 40 more sacks than there were quarterbacks being sacked. If you're not worried about that, yeah, I'm cool with it.
That's their business. That's their business because I'm only evaluating like players for me. So watch this, right? I was in this argument with somebody about Jalen Phillips or whatever, right? This was early in the season, you know, whatever. And they was like, oh, Jalen Phillips hasn't really done anything for me. He doesn't have production versus UAB and Louisville, da-da-da. And in my mind, I think that's because he kind of sat out for a year and he was dealing with injuries. He almost retired and maybe he had to get a little rust off of him, right? But if you take my half sack theory, that dude got 10 sacks in 7 games. That's production.
Okay.
That's production, Jeff.
Now, which player are you getting to 10 sacks here? Who was that? I'm trying to figure out how to watch the Mavs because YouTube TV still hadn't worked out their shit with Sinclair. So I don't think I have Fox Sports Southwest. So if somebody wants to tell me what to do here, which player are we talking about?
We're talking about Jalen Phillips, the edge player from Miami, right? Like I said, he started off kind of slow, but then he had a sack versus Clemson, half versus Pittsburgh, 1 versus obscure state, whoever this is, 2.5 versus Duke, 2.5 Virginia Tech, 2.5 North Carolina. In the last 8 games, or in the last 7 games, that is 10 sacks, player. That's production. That's producing. That's putting.
Yeah. I think part of why I would put him behind those other 2 guys is because I'm a coward. And so when I'm a coward and I'm struggling with how to order guys, I'll find tiebreakers. Mm-hmm. And in this case with Jalen Phillips, it would be how long he's been in college and how he almost medically retired because he had a concussion thing and then a really bad wrist injury. So I would just use the excuse of the medicals as why I put him behind him because he could very well end up being the best pass rusher out of this draft class because he's one of the few that it looks like he actually has a pass rush arsenal and a pass rush plan when he's attacking an offensive tackle. I think a lot of these guys are just getting it through effort and athleticism, whereas he actually seems to have a plan with his hands and feet while he's attacking an offensive lineman. He absolutely could end up being the best one, and I'm a coward. So I'm just going to say medical and put him at the end of the first.
So I got a feel for your draft philosophy. I would say you're more so safe guy. I think the opposite, Jeff. I think, especially with a team like this, I think you can afford, or you should be able to afford, to take some chances, right? Like if it's a situation where Sean Lee makes us feel bad about players with medical history, but if you look at a guy like Carl Lawson, right, who's a first-round talent, but he got hurt, and you get him in the 4th round, but Carl Lawson tough. You need a dude like that on your team, or a guy like Jeffrey Simmons, fresh off an ACL tear. Top 5 defensive tackle, but you can get them late with an injury. You know what I'm saying? I think we need risky guys. I mean,
I'm in on those guys. Mm-hmm. I'm in. Right. Like, because you're talking about guys whose tape I loved.
Sure.
Jeffrey Simmons was an animal.
Sure.
Carl Lawson, let me make sure I have my year right. I had my edge players and these weren't 1-2. This wasn't middle or end of the round. This was at the top, I had Garrett, Lawson, Watt. So turned out I should have had Watt even higher, but I would have taken any one of those three on their tape in the top 10, in the top 15, no problem. And so when Lawson was dropping, I was like, God, what medical are they that terrified of that they're letting a monster pass rusher just free fall? And some people were saying it was like short arms too. And I'm like, watch him play. Yeah. That dude is a monster. So if you're talking about that sort of player, but do you put Jalen Phillips tape up against, say, Lawson's?
I think Carl Lawson is the better player, but if I have an opportunity to draft Jalen Phillips in the 50s or so, I'll draft that dude in the 50s somewhere. But,
I'll jump. Yeah. If you told me the Cowboys are going to use their two on Jalen Phillips, yeah, let's go. I'm cool with that.
But I don't think he'll be there, though. And that's also the whole conversation, right? Like, when do you take Miles Jack? When do you take Jalen Smith? You know what I'm saying? Like that's a very interesting conversation. We'll have to cross that road at some point. But I gotta address some of my money people, Jeff. So give me 30 seconds to say hey to my money people.
Voch has money people and Jeff doesn't have money people? What in the hell is going on in, what was our name? Scoutcast. What is going on, Scoutcast?
Hush that fuzz. Listen. Shaq Edwards dropping 5 in Super Chat. Appreciate you, player. He says, what's good, Voch? Can't wait to hear about film on Jalen Twyman. A fan of Bleacher Report said he's like Aaron Donald. That's just because he's kind of short and he's small for a tackle and he played at Pittsburgh or whatever. But
would he opt out? Because we have 4 Pittsburgh games of 2020. So if he played 2020, we got him. And I bet we have 2019 too. So I'll try to watch him tonight.
I think he's opt-out guy, and we definitely have 2019. So I don't know. We'll see. Lauren Glenn the second, or is that Junior? I think, what's the difference between Junior and the second? What's the difference between that?
I think Junior would mean your dad was that name, and I think the second could be like your grandpa had that first name.
That's wild. Shouts out to you. Shouts out to you, Voch and Jeff. Appreciate y'all for the Cowboys community. Best post-game show in sports. Salute to you, sir. Shouts out to AJ Beer. He says tape talks with Voch and Jeff. Kind of like TED Talks. That's another good name. D. Garrett dropped 2. He says, hey, Dallas Cowboy for life. Appreciate you. And Jeff, motherfucking Mike Petty came over to my side and dropped 5 in my super chat.
Traitor.
Nah, fam. He gonna get a walk call for that play.
Traitor.
Hold on, dog. My man says, Voch, I watched first one. He says, I watched the first one I get notified by. So I guess your notifications are faster than mine. That's crazy.
Hold on. Will my board sounds work? You're hitting, hold on, I'm going to hit a button.
You know, I have a lot of personal
Is that doing anything?
I can hear it on mine, yeah.
In the career
what is it?
Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones talking about Earl Thomas.
Bring in this past week a guy named Brandon Carr.
Well, I think the most important thing is
all right, I'm gonna turn it down. Okay, so my board works. Okay, I could have played fun thing. I'm gonna get fun stuff to play.
Let's do this shit. But Jeff, you got to have a little swag when you do it. You just can't just put anything up there, Jeff. You got to have a little swag.
I hotkeyed those because I think I was playing Jerry audio while I was recording a video in the video. But I'll put Spodioti dope. No, I guess I can't do that. I get in trouble. I'll put something in there.
Perfect. Fair enough. But basically, Mike Petty was just saying that he came to your show first because he was notified on your show first. I guess Jeff does run faster than me because I'm a little husky. That's fine. He says
fiber. That's a fiber internet.
He says this is where would you take defensive tackle? Who and more so a 1-tech or a 3-tech? I take the best one I can find. I'm looking for a 1-tech because if Antoine Woods is your best D tackle, then you got problems. Plus, I got faith that Tristan Hill and Neville Gallimore will continue to develop. So that's just my whole vibes there. But the best player available, right? Like if the better player is a 3-tech, I'm taking 3-tech. But if we find one of those fat 1-tech kids later on in the 5th round or so, I can double up at D tackle if that's what you ask.
I'm trying to find a fat man. Mm-hmm. I'm trying.
Have you watched Marvin Wilson? Have you watched Marvin Wilson?
I have not watched Marvin Wilson yet.
Playing so much, Jeff.
I know. You said vacation is about vacating. I've been vacated. Fair enough. Like the Georgia one's good, but he has no pass rush whatsoever. So to me, that's like a 4th round thing. Yeah. But somebody's going to take him in the 2nd. That's the problem with one text is the Cowboys are desperate for one, but I don't want to spend what it takes to get where they're going to go a lot of the time. So we'll figure it out. We'll find one.
Fair enough, sir. Fair enough. Let's see what other questions we got here. What other questions we got? I just want to know the difference between drafting player X at 8th and 17th. Do you think it's going to be very much difference between the guy that you draft at 8 and you draft at 17? Talent-wise? I
don't. And that's why I want to pick him at 17 and not at 8 because this is a minor component of it, but the salary cap is real. And the 8th pick and the 17th pick, there's a big discrepancy in how much they count against the cap for the next 4 years and their 5th year option. So, if the guy belongs at 17 and I think I could get him at 17 and I have to pick him at 8, then I got the guy I want, which is fine. But you also have to say, okay, but we didn't get good value.
Fair.
So that's just kind of what it is. And that's why we wanted it to be, look, it's a quarterback and offensive line draft at the top.
Sure.
That's what the players say it should be. Is quarterback and offensive line draft. And that's not necessarily what the Cowboys need. You could take an offensive tackle. I would have no problem with it.
Sure.
But that was why we wanted to be picking real high so somebody would come get one of those and you could reap the rewards of that. And so instead, I'd rather take a guy that belongs at 17 than at 8, except it also means I'm picking 17th in every other round, which sucks.
Yeah, fair enough. Who's my man's that said this? Nest 212 says, would the Cowboys picking Nick Bolton with their first round pick be a reach? Okay, so you ain't got to answer that question necessarily, but I did use this question as like a, set up for a comment or whatever. All your favorite players right now that you think you can get in the second and third round, it happens every year. They're gonna get bumped up the board, man. There's no such thing as just a secret player that just stays secret, right? Like teams gonna watch this film, and you may like Nick Bolton, and you may have seen a mock draft where, I could take Nick Bolton at the end of the second round, and that dude's gonna be a late first round pick before this thing's over with, man.
Yeah, and it's gonna happen to Nick Bolton. It's gonna happen to there's going to end up being 5 corners that go in the first round. You're going to have an offensive tackle that's going to be the 4th tackle off the board that's going to go, and you're not going to see it coming. And that's the way it is. I'm going to keep talking about picking Nick Bolton in the 30s or at 40, and that dream's going to get crushed at like 22.
Yeah.
And, that's just the way it is. Look at Haley 94 wear, though, Voch.
Wait a minute.
Oh, my. What a monster.
He did you too?
What a monster.
Oh, shit.
2 guys, 1 money stream. What a monster.
Jeff, he dropped both of us. Oh, ain't talking about. Jeff, all the time I read yours again. What did he say?
Huh?
What did he say? Read yours again.
He said 2 guys, 1 money stream.
Oh, shit. Talk about Jeff. Let me read what he said on mine. 2 guys, 1 money stream. Shots out to you, player.
What a monster.
Go ahead, sir.
All right, Voch, here's our next one from Dallas. Greenswig. Hey, which of our free agents would you want to return? What spots would you fill in free agency? And what spots would you try and fill in the draft? And I'm going to throw out my philosophy first. This is my philosophy.
Yes, sir.
And it's my philosophy, and Will McClay agrees with it. So I think we're smart people. Free agency is used to get ready to go play on Sunday.
Yes.
Now, so before the draft, you have to have a team that you could go play. Mm-hmm. And that's how you don't F up the draft.
Yep.
You can't go into a draft and say, all right, we're not going to sign this spare $3 million corner because we'd rather draft a guy. You can't set yourself up to fail that way. You have to prepare that I can do whatever the board tells me to do. That's what the smart teams do.
Right.
Even if that means that you're going to have a below average corner that you take off the streets, that's $3 million. You got to have one that you're like, if we had to, we could go play tomorrow. You got to have that before the draft. That's the rule.
Fair enough. Yeah, you go out and get all of your Kerry Hiders and just get as many guys.
Maurice Kennedy,
all them dudes. Nolan Carroll. Ugh, go get enough.
Even when it doesn't work.
Absolutely. And then when you go into the draft, you go, okay, cool. We ain't got a draft here. But I think even if you do that though, you still have a clear idea of where you go or where you would want to go in the draft. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, what you most want to upgrade, you have a feel for what you would like your board to look like. You just got to be careful not to force it too much, and especially not in the first round. Yeah. And Jeff, ask Voch what he thinks of Robbie Radford at long snapper. What in the hell is happening here? Oh, your name is Robbie Radford. That's why you're asking. Okay.
Let me just tell you what's so fire about Robbie, right? Robbie is like a deep Louisiana white man, right?
Okay.
Deep Louisiana white man. Like I will jump on the back of an alligator, tie it up, boom, boom, boom. But in the middle of my live stream, he'll call into my show and perfectly quote 16 bars from a UGK song.
Okay, nice.
From an obscure UGK song. Not like Big Pimpin' or nothing, but like track number 7 on Super Tight. Like the back of his hand. Like Robbie Radford is nuanced, sir. I think really highly of him. I will let him play long snapper just off of that.
Okay, and let's do the other half of that, the non-long snapper question about free agency. I just want to rattle off some of the Cowboy names, and you tell me if the price is right or you're bringing them back.
Let's do it.
Cheeto.
What's the price? Oh, wait. So like if it's for cheap, would I do it?
Yeah, but then that makes it too easy because you can just say yes to everybody. Because I think I think a 4-year starter at corner is going to get more than people think. I think people are thinking you could get Cheeto for like 3 years and $12 million. And I think you need to be thinking more along the lines of like 3 and 20 or more.
Cheeto's going to make like $8 million. I think he's a quality starter, actually. I think people have a misconception about how good cornerback really is in the league. The best team in the league got a dude playing corner that couldn't make your team. You know what I'm saying? And nobody has 2 Darrelle Revises on their team. And I think what we remember is, you know, just Cheeto like getting whooped, just people running past Cheeto. But I think Cheeto is a quality starter. And even if we were to draft a cornerback in the first round, I'm bringing back Cheeto because I think Cheeto has made more solid plays than bad plays for you. He's not Byron Jones, but he's solid.
So then you're letting Jordan Lewis walk.
Jordan Lewis can go. I think something happened to Jordan where it's a combination of he's playing not where he's supposed to be playing. Jordan Lewis is an outside corner, but he's short, so they just put him at nickel. And I think he lost his confidence somewhere because he's grabbing people a lot more. And I think even if I can get Jordan for cheap, I wouldn't do it. Even if I can get Anthony Brown for cheap, I wouldn't do it. He's signed for like $28, but
yeah, you got him for one more,
right? But he's another guy that's, you know, his contract isn't like lingering enough to where we couldn't get out of it to where I can get away from that dude if I want to.
Yeah, I wonder. I think just because of the size, Cheeto probably makes more sense than Jordan. I tell you what, if you don't like the safeties in this class and the money's right, I'll try Jordan Lewis and I'll let him compete with Reggie Robinson at free safety.
Sure.
I'll let him try it.
I got another notion though, Jeff. I got a notion that if we can get somebody that can give us some kind of pass rush from the interior defensive line, I think our cornerbacks will be fine.
Yeah, I think I view defense the other way now. Okay. I view defense as if I can cover, I can fake it at pass rush. Because if I can cover, Pittsburgh, they bring a 5th guy. That's what they do. We're bringing a 5th guy. Yeah. And so even if I don't have great rushers, but no, what the Cowboys have right now in the interior is not nearly good enough. They need to upgrade that for sure. And maybe Tristan Hill and Gallimore progression is part of that. But, yeah, they need to upgrade that. But I would rather cover because I can fake a pass rush. And I don't think I can't fake coverage. Well, see, I can help them.
I think the opposite of that. I think if I got Frank Clark, Chris Jones, and some miscellaneous people, I think I can have some scrubs at corner. Just go get the quarterback, dude. Go get the quarterback. In my mind, that's how that works. Plus, if I can get pressure with 4, then that'll help my cornerbacks out a little bit more. You know,
it works both ways. Yep. I don't know when I became a coverage over rush guy, but some point in the last 24 months, I've now leaned that way.
You saw some good team cover really well in the backfield or something. Like, yeah, sure, that's what happens.
I mean, it transformed Miami's defense. Having Byron and Xavier Howard, they went from 32nd to 1st.
Sure,
we can cover.
Fair enough. I want to ask you who your next free agent is, but I want to skip up to Aldon Smith because I think the Aldon Smith conversation is really interesting right now.
I'll let him walk.
I agree. It depends. If I can get him for $32, cool, but I don't think I can get him for $32. I think what happened with Aldon Smith was he played against a horrible Seahawks offensive line, and he got 3 sacks, and we got real excited. But since then, I haven't really seen much from Aldon Smith. Also, and Mike McCarthy really pissing me off. I don't know who's in charge. Somebody's on coke. But Randy Gregory need to get like 90 snaps a game. Somebody needs to do it. Because
Randy Gregory, I've been peddling this the last couple of days on the radio, 105.3 The Fan, DFW, flagship of your Dallas Cowboys, home of the Cowboys, home of the Rangers, 105.3 The Fan, 2-7, G-Bag Nation. I've been peddling, they need to extend him is what they need to do.
Right now.
The NFL is done with their archaic, if you smoke weed to deal with your depression, we're going to suspend you bullshit. Like they're over that stuff now. They're not going to do that anymore. And he's not a threat to get suspended through like behavior. He's a good teammate and a good dude. Yep. So you're in the clear with him and you're starting to see what kind of player he is. You go to him right now and if you're Jerry, you play this card. Randy, and I've been real good to you, stood by you, and we extended you because you needed a good little bit of cash in your pocket, and we did that and did, and we did and will and went and did, and what about 2 year and $18 million? That's you hadn't made a lot, and you do good by us, we done good by you. Offer him a sweetheart deal, $9 million a year, something like that. Offer it now. Get Randy locked in.
I agree.
Does that look like wild parsley to you?
I agree, brother Jeff. I think he's so humble right now. I just think, he's just now back in the league or whatever. And he's only making he's making like 500,000 or so, maybe. I don't know, whatever the number is. I think if you offer him, and look, if I'm trying to sign him, I want to sign him, like get that man 4 years, 60 million. Like do whatever you got to do. I can't count. I don't know what that number is, but
it's 15.
15 or so. I think 15 is. I think 15 is solid for Randy, because what you gonna get from him is a $25 million player, honestly. And by the time the next three,
hold on now, 25 means the best edge rusher in the league, sir.
I think highly of Randy. I think Randy Gregory rolls off the couch the best pass rusher on this team. Next year, Randy's going to have the offseason. He's going to drink whatever juice that they give people that keep them big and strong in the league. And
he's going to have 10 to 13 sacks.
And he's going to get into that groove. And I think Randy's going to be one of the better pass rushers in the league. And I think getting that dude for $15 million, because when T.J. Watt won his money, he going to get like what, 28 or something?
He'll get 20 to, whatever the market is at that point, $25 million, yeah.
So I want to get Randy at 15 right now. And if I could do it over an extended period of time, I want that to do to my team, Jeff. And look, Jeff, the best part about it, he ain't got no mileage. Randy Gregory been sitting down for the most part. He's fresh. He's
a young 28.
He could play till he's 35, Jeff.
And what he's been doing, like most people who are suspended all the time, you're like, yeah, but what have they been doing to their body? Well, he's been smoking marijuana, so he has not been hurting his body at all. He's been fine. North Texan 95, I appreciate you in the super chat, you sweet, sweet man or woman. Could Micah Parsons play at outside linebacker to rush and justify a high draft pick?
So Jeff, Go ahead.
He could.
Yes.
But I think your vision for Micah Parsons is that he's Bobby Wagner.
Yes.
That's your vision for Micah Parsons.
But he ain't Bobby
Wagner. Running
Wagner.
and chasing sideline to sideline. He's covering. He's rushing. He's doing everything.
Yes.
Not that he's a 3-4 edge player.
Yes. But Jeff, he ain't Bobby Wagner. So watch this though. I dropped this Micah Parsons film session earlier today. If anybody from your side want to come watch it, Voch Lombardi on YouTube, VOCHLOMBARDI. I think Micah Parsons would be a really good Sam linebacker, though, fam, in my mind. That's a lot less mental processing for him. He can't play Will because then he'll have to be right every time. So,
but the Sam has to do more of that taking on tight ends crap and being all muddled up. Don't you want him running?
Let him, Jeff. So look, yeah. But Sam's run sometimes. Put him on the field. Put him on the field and just let him be a fast running Sam. He can pass rush from Sam. Let him deal with those tight ends. He's big enough. He can boogie in there with them blockers. The only thing that's holding him back is mental processing. And we can't just say, oh, Voch, it's only mental processing. Because if you look at Jalen Smith, you'll be like, oh, it's only mental If Jalen Smith and Van Der Esch didn't have mental processing problems, we'll have the best linebackers in the league again. But they got mental processing problems. You know what I mean? And that's the difference between Luke Kuechly and insert, whatever linebacker,
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of hyper-athletic linebackers in the league that aren't great linebackers.
Sure.
There's a lot of them. Thank you to Rowan Donahue. He said, keep up the good work, fellas. We'll do our best for you, sir. You the best.
Sure. So do you draft a off-ball linebacker with bad mental processing top 10?
I don't.
That's the problem.
And, I also acknowledge that we could totally be wrong, because he is a guy that's played linebacker for 2 years. It could just be the natural growth of the position, and he's going to be an absolute stud. But it's not the sort of chance I want to take, especially considering the positional value in the top 10.
Also, Jeff, it's not our fault that we think this because he ain't played this year. So it's not our fault that we think this way, Yeah,
he could have played. He could have showed us that he kind of figured that part out.
Sure. Like the big knock on Greg Russo, right? Like his size matching up with whatever. Okay, you can get bigger in an off-season program. All right, cool, whatever. You can get bigger. It's certain things that you get just playing the game. He just ain't been playing. I think if you look at a guy like Penei Sewell or something, like he's a guy, he's just going to wrestle people. He just got to work on his technique. You can work on technique in the offseason. Caleb Farley can't figure out cornerback distance sitting out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I think that's a great trying to figure out, because in coverage there's so many different things you're doing. With Penei Sewell, you're just teaching him about how to make his hands and his feet work, and you can kind of simulate things. Mm-hmm. You can pretend you're simulating everything that a corner has to do in all these different calls, but unless you're seeing a real full field, have a play unfold in front of you, you can't really work on it. Sure. Where'd my guy go? LVE, 5th-year option coming up. Do you take it? For the moment, I would actually say no, except that, you got nothing on the roster.
I think you have to. Yep.
Yeah, I think to protect yourself, unfortunately, you probably have to. I don't think his play and his health history warrants it, but you probably have to, because I think they're going to let Jalen Smith go this offseason. I think they're going to.
Blink one time if you heard somebody say that. Blink twice if it's your idea.
I think
Jeff heard somebody say that shit. Jalen gone. Ugh.
It's possible. I'm just saying it's possible.
Chat box, don't tell nobody that y'all heard that here, because they're going to run here asking how the hell we know that. But Jeff talked to somebody that called 3 other people, and Jalen Smith ass is gone. In my mind, that's what that means. In my mind. I ain't saying I heard it from Jeff, and I ain't saying who the hell Jeff heard it from. What does that sign mean? What is that? What the thinker? Who's the thinker? Amari Cooper told you. I don't know.
I just think it's something that's being discussed. That's all.
Oh, Jeff, I thought that's what we thought. We deserve this. How long have we been going? Because we just kind of been boogieing.
We're over an hour. We're an hour and 3.
I know Jeff don't really like 50-minute shows. I got one more question that we could boogie. In your insane mind, I have an insane mind as well. If you're the Jets, you miss out on Trevor Lawrence. Totally a blunder by them, whatever. But if you're the Jets with the 2nd overall pick, what do you do? What do you do if you're the Jets with the 2nd overall pick?
I'd take Zach Wilson with no hesitation. I think, to me, you can have thought whatever you thought about Sam Darnold, but I think that good quarterbacks in shit situations play okay-ish, not awful.
Not awful, yeah.
I think you have 3 years of evidence that, yes, the situation sucks and the coaching probably sucks, but he hasn't risen above it in any way, shape, or form. I'm picking my next guy. I'm not going into year 4 and creeping up on the 5th-year option with a guy that's shown nothing. Darnold's been one of the worst quarterbacks in football. I'm not trying to hang on. Maybe it does work with a change of scenery, but I wouldn't bet on it.
I can't explain this yet. This isn't my last thought. We have a lot more research and development to do. I can change my mind at any time between now and April. I like watching Zach Wilson a little more than Trevor Lawrence. Jeff, plug your stuff so the people can know where to find Jeff, player.
Look at him go! Oh, just real quick, Max says, cut Dak and sign the truth. Quarterback Mason Fine, go Mean Green. I support you supporting your school, sir.
Appreciate the money.
But I'll just go ahead and hold on to Dak. Thank you.
Yeah.
105.3 The Fan from 2 to 7, Monday through Friday. This is the home of the Cowboys. Check us out, G-Bag Nation, radio.com app. You can get us from anywhere in the country. And, of course, if you're on Voch's side, I'd appreciate if you swung through the YouTube channel, just Jeff Cavanaugh, as it's typed right there in front of you. Check that out. And, I play around on other social medias at JC1053 on Twitter. Come be a best friend of mine. Let's dance.
100%, man. Jeff does some of the things that I don't have the patience to do, like use mock draft simulators. He seems to be doing it weekly now. So if you're into the mock draft simulators, run over to Jeff's channel and check out what he got to say about that. He also does like weekly, like daily Cowboy news. Actually, he has a different Cowboy thought every single day. So go over there, check his channel out. If you're on Jeff's side, you can come over here to my channel, Voch Lombardi, VOCHLOMBARDI. I drop Cowboy film and I'm also dropping college film. Not a whole bunch of it, but I'm doing some Illuminati things to get it done so that the people ain't finding me, but I do drop film. But if you want the long form film sessions, I actually do like hour-long film sessions, and we drop them early. That's on my Patreon. That's hidden behind the wall so the Illuminati can't find me. That's patreon.com/Voch Lombardi, VOCHLOMBARDI. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. These are big numbers. At some point, me and Jeff gonna figure this name out. Scoutcast is crazy.
It's the leader.
But we gonna cross that road whenever we get there. Y'all hold it down for the Doski Woski and Peasky Whiskey, man. Till next time, peace.
I agree with what he said.